All right. Hey, everybody. TG here. Let's see if I need to change the volume. There we go. And I was trying to get my camera up and running. Doesn't look like for some reason that's going to work. Give it one last shot and see if this is going to pick it up. Let's see if we can get that over. Nope, not going to get it on a restream. Nope, I don't know what that deal is. So we'll turn it on in the Moxie room. How about that? Oh, of course. There it is. Technology sometimes, right? Well, looks like we got that to work, so that's cool. All right, guys. Well, then let's see. Yeah, thanks, Tommy Boy. Looks like we're good on sound. It is raining cats and dogs over here. We went from windy, really, really windy, to just having storms, and now we had snow yesterday. It was pretty crazy. And honestly, let me show you guys this video. You guys might actually like this. Let's see. There you go. This is took a quick little something of our house because I had to see if I pull this up. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful sunrise morning, a little bit snowy, and kind of some cool clouds off into the distance. Yeah, kind of neat. And then you can see the tracks that I was having to shovel yesterday. So yeah, you guys in the Mox room know that I texted you in the morning. I was like, all right, we got snow and we got ice, so I won't be around for the open, but everything looked pretty good yesterday, and this is what I was doing. So making sure that number one, my wife could get down the driveway all right. She likes to go for morning walks with the dog, and then we still have workers here as we continue with our remodel, which is now in month 8, maybe even 9. I'll have to keep track of that. So yeah, that thing keeps going. So yeah, now all that snow is melted, but now we have a ton of wind. So, crazy weather up in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest. All right, guys. Yeah, remember we've got some stuff up here, and just came back from the Money Show, where 5 years later, I am now teaching next to John Carter, which is pretty cool because this is where we first met, was at the Las Vegas Money Show a little over 5 years ago. So definitely come full circle, and kind of never thought I'd be here. So never thought I'd actually, I didn't think I'd ever know John Carter, let alone be teaching a class next to him like this. So it's pretty cool times. All right, so let's kind of pull this up, see what you guys are talking about. Lakeland, Florida. I bet the weather out there is beautiful compared to what we're getting right now. Yeah, and yeah, brighter side. We'll talk about the market in a second, but yeah, GBTC and Bitcoin, absolutely bonkers. What else is to say? This is going crazy. So pretty happy that we are in quite a few of the Bitcoin miners and coin and stuff like that we're taking advantage of. So that's good. And like what else is there to say? I mean, with the spot ETFs and Bitcoin regaining and people seeing this, the market can get irrational sometimes. And this is what I mentioned this yesterday when I was on the mic in our own room. I said we're starting to see kind of an AI frenzy and biotech somewhat frenzy, and so things are really starting to take off out there in some kind of crazy ways. Like if you look at XBI, look at that move that we had. I almost got into LabU, which is the leveraged ETF right there. And I was a little bit hesitant because I saw kind of this double top and then it pulled back. And then I was like, oh, I don't know. And I should have gotten in because that thing was up 14% yesterday. So yeah, bummer. But we've got a lot of other names that are doing very, very well. And we're in CRISPR, which is actually, when you look at CRISPR, it looks pretty much just like this also. So I'm okay with where we are on that, taking advantage of still the sector. Didn't get LabU, but we've got a couple names that are doing well in that. And same thing. Yeah, Robbie, let's look at Mara and CLSK. Now, Mara has earnings today, I believe. Yeah, 228 after the market. Anything can go. Just you guys have to understand that anything can happen for earnings. Can go up a lot, can go down a lot, can do nothing. So anything goes. And if you guys want to hedge with that somehow, go for it. Be my guest. Whatever works for you guys. I don't really have any strategies because I don't do too many options. I'd honestly have to ask one of my coworkers and be like, "Yo, how do I hedge with this?" So you guys can figure that out. Do what you want to do. But so far, I'm gonna let it go because we're profitable. We've already taken profits, and we have a big cushion. So we're up 56% on Mara. So really, really happy about that. And honestly, the whole group has been moving very well. So I think, and we look back, Riot had earnings and it did drop on earnings, but the whole group was kind of pulling back at the time and it's right back up. And then CLSK was one of the first ones. Let's see, I need to get the K in there. CLSK was one of the first ones to have earnings, and clearly it loved it. So it did just fine. And Robbie, the only thing I was saying is I'm a little surprised at how high these things are and that they keep pushing. But also look at Bitcoin itself, and Bitcoin's going absolutely bonkers, as Brighter Side said. So yeah, if Bitcoin is doing what it's doing, and then the miners are following suit, I don't think there's anything to argue with. Not until something changes or something stops. And honestly, whatever it does do to stop is probably going to just be a pullback of some sort, maybe a larger long-term consolidation. But right now everything is looking fine. Just kind of stick with it. Yeah, they're getting pretty frothy, but stick with it because we've seen these things get pretty frothy before, and you can see that if these things really do get crazy, they can stay outside of their 30 ATRs for quite some time. And honestly, look at the volume. I mean, massive amounts of volume that are coming into this CLSK, Mara. Yeah, I mean, look at that volume coming in. And honestly, this still looks pretty contained. CLSK maybe looks a little bit more up there, but this stuff looks like it's just beginning. I mean, it's hard to say anything else other than these things are looking good. Lots of volume coming in. They are acting well. They are very constructive. And yeah, just figure out ways to get in, stay in, and see what we can do until something breaks. But right now, what what else is there to say? I mean, everything is looking good on this. We got the DPO on the monthly looking good. The weekly is looking good. We had a pullback to the weekly 21. That's why we got in. And then we just had a pullback to the daily 50, or sorry, the daily 21. So that worked out nicely. We took profits right there, and then yeah, uppity, uppity, up. And even look at this, the last 3 days, big volume. So, people call this like a voodoo pullback. So volume dried up right there. You can see a lack of volume, which is good because it meant nobody's really selling and just kind of waiting for it right there. And then you can see as it surged, up it went. So we'll see. Now, it could always pull back on earnings. You never know. But, it's overall looking good. Maybe if it pulls back on earnings, buy more. I don't know. We'll have to see how it turns out. But yeah, I'm definitely not arguing anything with Mara and CLSK and Riot. And some are doing better than others. Like Hive. Okay, it's coming up, but there are other names that are doing better. BT, not bad. I definitely couldn't see anything bad about this, but it's also not really doing what the others are doing. So you do need to pick the right racehorse in this. And so that's why we're in Mara. We could be in CLSK, but it felt a little extended. So I stuck with Mara. And then Coin is kind of off on its own thing too, because Coin is not a miner. It's more of the exchange. So I group it in the same category, but it is a little bit different and it does behave differently. So we got into that one. And what was the other one? MSTR. This is not a Bitcoin company. It just owns a lot of Bitcoin. So this one is going to trade and move more like Bitcoin itself. And so that's how that one's moving. They all kind of have different flavors if you want to look at it that way. Let's see. Do the Moxie divergences on daily and hourly tops give you any pause? And we're talking about Mara. Not yet. So the reason we took profits on Mara here was, well, number one, it was very extended. You can see here, it got outside of that third ATR, gapped off the 8 EMA, and it was right at a double top. And I'm like, you know what? This is probably going to pull back. And so we took profits there. And sure enough, it pulled back the very next day, so I was very happy about that. And the only other thing I could have done is add somewhere in here or add the first thing. Was it Monday? I think it was Monday morning that they started to pop up. But right now, I can't say that there are divergences yet. Yes, you're looking at price higher, and yes, you're looking at the Moxie indicator lower, but we can't confirm it yet because what if the Moxie indicator keeps going? This is where when I talk about the Moxie indicator, you can't confirm something until it changes the other color. So for example, like a trampoline move. Here is a trampoline move. That's when price is below the 50, but the Moxie indicator is above 0, which you could see here. But while price is underneath the 50 and while the Moxie indicator is red, it's only a potential trampoline move because it could keep going lower and it could keep getting red and eventually cross below 0. It could. So the way we confirm it is when price gets back over the 50 and the Moxie indicator turns green again. And so that same concept of, well, we're looking for confirmation exists when we see divergences too. So, for example, if let's just say here on the hourly chart, just as a decent example, if we're seeing higher highs and yes, we're seeing lower lows, okay, you're looking at that and you're like, yeah, okay, we could be seeing divergences. But what if this keeps going? And that's possible because things could keep going up. So the divergence hasn't confirmed yet. The negative divergence hasn't confirmed yet. The negative divergence would confirm when this starts to go red and starts to come down, and now your divergence is locked in. So Uni, let me know if that makes sense. I'll keep kind of seeing if I can find examples over the course of time. Maybe even I think the SPY was kind of doing some situations like that. Yeah, like here you can see we're starting to see some kind of confirmed negative divergences. You see here how this is starting to top out compared to price being higher. That's starting to show confirmation. Or same thing here, like what we saw here on the hourly chart, and you can see that the Moxie indicator right there started to confirm. And where it confirmed was right there when the Moxie indicator went red again and started to work its way down. That's the confirmation, because until we see it change colors and go the other direction, it could have kept going green. Same thing here. We don't know when it's going to confirm until it actually starts painting the other color and going the other direction. And we just don't have that yet on Mara. So yeah, I think that's the best. Yeah, that's the best I can kind of show you, because you can see here like that kind of went higher and then it finally broke. So not really divergence, but just kind of showing that. And then you can see here, there you having divergence because it started to go red again, started to break down again. And same thing here. It's the same thing with positive divergence. There is your positive divergence, because right at this point is where it started to go green again. It could have, what if it did this? You see how it kind of bumped up and then came back down like that? So you might look at that and say, oh yeah, there's divergence. Well, not necessarily, because it rolled back over and went red again. What you want to see is when it continues to go green and up. So you need to see those bars continue to paint and continue to confirm and go that direction. Yeah. So, and trust me, I had to figure these things out too. Like the Moxie indicator did not come with instruction manuals and guidebooks when I first was developing it and working on it. Like I had to take a year. It took me a year to figure out what the Moxie indicator was telling me and how it was communicating. And I had to come up with my own rules around this indicator to say, oh, what's it doing? I know it's kind of funny because now I have this education, this business thing with it, and I can teach you guys like what I've learned, but honestly, I had to figure it out on my own. And I think that you guys will do the same thing. Like my job is just to show you what I've figured out and what works for me, but I know a lot of people do other things. They look at it differently, they see different things, and they use it for different purposes. And so it's just a tool, and some people use tools in different ways, and whatever you can find that works out best for you, then absolutely do whatever works best for you. Yeah. All right, let's see. Let's look. Yeah, Brighter says, so you want to look at breadth for a second? Let's see. So $sign SPXA50R. This is the number of stocks over their 50-day SMA. And yeah, it is finding support at the daily 200 for a second move up. This market has been amazingly strong. It has. I have been a little surprised too. I'll tell you, I'll give it to you guys straight. I have been a little surprised at how well this market is holding up, considering the markets that are just hanging out at their all-time highs. So yeah, it's been a little crazy. The other thing to kind of look at is when the market got really, really bonkers in November and December, And I was expecting a pullback because the number of stocks over their 50-day SMA was at like 93%, which doesn't stay up there very long. And you could see, I mean, look at that gap between price and the 8 EMA. It was a huge move, and it needed to pull back, just like we saw here and here and here, and it did. So now we've got this correction or pullback kind of underneath the surface. The half the stocks moved down, half the stocks stayed up. But now, if we did look at this as an indicator, it did make it to about 50%, and it seems to be holding, which again, based on history, uh, is a little surprising. It doesn't seem that 50% is about enough to keep things going, but it might be. Just we need to keep looking at this and seeing if that is actually the case. But I'm amazed to see 50%. Now, here's one other example. Do you guys remember, say, May, June, July of 2020? We kind of got a similar something. So here was COVID. Here was COVID. Basically, zero stocks were above their 50-day SMA. Everything got trounced. And then the Fed came in with their money bazooka, and the market rallied. And you can see it kind of did the same thing. Huge move to the upside. Over 94% of stocks were over their 50-day SMA. Okay, so it was a little much. And if you notice here, the number of stocks over their 50-day SMA pulled back and went to, what number is that? About 46%. Pretty darn close. Pretty darn close right there and right there to what we just saw. We saw a pullback. And then you could see it kind of recovered right here. And that's when, the number of stocks over the 50-day SMA kind of clawed its way back. So I don't know. Are we feeling like 2020 is back? Are we feeling some good, strong strength out there? And maybe this was a pullback underneath the surface and things are doing well. Honestly, I'm looking at some names and some tickers, and it does kind of feel that way. Things are getting a little bubbly out there, which fun for us until it ends. So yeah, we look at that, and if this can continue to hold and move its way up, then okay. But we also have to be prepared that maybe this is a bear flag, and if it finds resistance, it could come down. Okay, so we're literally right here. Which way is it going to go? Well, we're not sure yet, but we have ways to kind of look at it and follow, and the clues and stuff. So we'll just have to see, can it continue to move back up, or is this going to fail and go down? That is the decision. That's what we need to keep watching and looking for. And one smaller way that I can look at that is here, and we look at the 20-day. So like that. Look at the 20-day. See the number of stocks over under their 20-day. And so far, it's been recovering, which again, brighter side. I'm actually kind of amazed. I'm surprised that this thing worked out like this. I was thinking that it was going to come up like this. We're going to bounced a little bit, and then we're going to pull back like that. And that didn't happen. It's actually continuing upward. So yeah, I guess this market's doing pretty well. So that's why we've got a pretty full load of stocks. And then you're seeing stuff like Mara and XBI and things like VKTX. Oh man, this game keeps running even for a second day. Anybody see this thing? Now, this is the good side of biotech. And for as much as you see things like this, it can also go the other way. And I have personally experienced it. This is why I try to stay away from biotech, because you never know when one of these trials that they have is going to succeed or fail, pass or fail. And in this case, they had some clinical trial that succeeded. And I think it was for a weight loss drug. So again, that whole weight loss drug thing is keeping up Eli Lilly and everything else up a lot. And so it worked. And I mean, you can see clearly huge volume, and this thing just shot up. So, unless you could just jump in on this thing and move, I'm going to have to see if there's some opportunity to get into this at some point. I don't know. But what if that trial did not work? What if that was a failed trial? Well, usually what you'd see with something like this, it would go the other direction. It would overnight drop down to here. And that would be a cut, could be a cut of 50%. And we've seen that. These things can get cut in half if they have a bad trial. So, good or bad, I just try to avoid it, because I have no leg up. Surprise news, and then you'll get run over. All right, yeah, Michael. So if we're looking at XOM, I had another person, so XOM, XOP, oh, XO, yeah. So XOP is the sector, XOM is ExxonMobil. Of course, they're going to look kind of similar. And Gush is the leveraged ETF of XOP. So I looked at that the other day because somebody was, one of my trader friends was telling me that something might be up. I I don't know. I personally tend to stay away from the energy sector, mostly because there's so many geopolitical um, players involved. Again, kind of like biotech, like I just don't know what the news is going to be. I don't know when OPEC is going to come out and say, "Oh, we're going to shut off the spigots because we're going to raise prices." Like I just don't know when something like that is going to happen. Of course, we never know that with any kind of news, but like this one in particular. And honestly, they just haven't really been moving. So I really have not been interested in trading anything energy related because they just have not been moving. Now, maybe this is setting the stage for something, okay, but I just don't really see it quite yet. I just don't see it. So yes, there is a line here that you could look at as support, and so if it can stay above it, great. But if it breaks below it, then not working too well. And yeah, I'm just not so sure. I can see how it is starting to hold moving averages here, and it could possibly starting to hold moving averages here on the daily chart. And so if this is going to go up, it basically needs to continue to hold the daily 50, or at least generally hold the 50 and start moving up. But if it can't hold that, then be aware that the 200 might be resistance, and maybe this thing's going to start going back down. That's about the best I can give you, but I'm still not really interested in it because it's kind of just been going sideways this whole time. So I just, yeah, I don't really see much. And same thing with XOP. XOP kind of came down here again, very neutral, very neutral. Maybe it's going to start clawing its way back up. It's a possibility. And if we look here, I've been seeing this. Like I get it. I see what's happening. There's your double bottom. There's your positive divergence. Got the 50 crossing the 200. But double bottom, positive divergence. There's your Moxie price trigger. I see it. But I'm kind of leaning towards, if this is going to go up, I kind of have a feeling that there might be one more dip to test support before it goes up. So, and again, I'm just not super interested in it right now. It's just, I find that there's so many other things that are of interest to me than this stuff. So it's not really interesting to me. Okay, so, oh yeah, Beyond. So again, one of my trader friends, he's like, Beyond Meat must have had a high short interest. And so I looked it up this morning and I saw that it was up like this on earnings. And then actually I looked at our stats and it said, yeah, 38% short interest on Beyond. I was like, yeah, there you go. So what are you looking at? Had a pretty good setup into earnings. Yeah, high short float as well. Wait until price hits the hourly 50 or enter here. I personally would have to say wait. Well, let me put that in two parts. If you wanted to enter here for a quick trade, you'd have to probably use the 5-minute time frame or the 15-minute time frame. And basically, if price can stay above the 15-minute 50, then okay, you can trade it down on that time frame. But more likely, unless this thing really goes crazy, kind of like VKTX, more likely is you might get a little bit of move up, but otherwise it's probably going to come down and find some equilibrium someplace, and then you can get it later, kind of like that. So let me go back to this screen here. Yeah, there was a good setup, but again, anything can happen on earnings. But yes, look at that, double bottom, positive divergence. And if you guys look at this, it was a trampoline move. Price below the 50, the Moxie indicator above 0. So guys, if you don't have the Moxie indicator and you're seeing the things that I'm showing you, like I don't make anything up new. Like this is all the same stuff. It's all the same stuff I teach. My instruction booklet hasn't changed for years. And so that's what's nice, is because you just look for these consistent setups. Now, sure, it would have been great to trade this without earnings, because again, earnings is kind of a crapshoot. You never know. But yeah, and then you can see here, look at that Moxie price trigger. You can even see price going down, 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 down. Moxie indicator up, 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 up. And look at when this thing actually turned. It turned when the Moxie indicator fired. How's that for timing? Really good. So the Moxie indicator, even if you're short, like imagine you're short and you're short coming in through here and you're like wondering, hey, when should I get out? Well, if you see that Moxie price trigger, yeah, might want to get out of your short. But if you're looking long, there you go. There you go. And then you can see here it held the hourly 50 nicely. Great job. So yeah, too bad. Too bad it was over earnings. Otherwise, maybe would have been willing to take a shot on something like that. Uh, let's see, Nick, if you're looking at that asking when to get in, well, you look at Sono, for example. Hey, look, big move up, but what did it do? It flagged, So it eventually chilled out. How about, I'm trying to think what else. Gosh, Carvana, did that thing kind of, that king, yeah. So Carvana, okay, it flagged for a day or two and then, yes, moved up. But I still have a feeling there's probably going to be a wider range that this thing might come back down to. Or on the other side, if it's too risky, look at Net. Net also shot up on earnings. And did it go down? Did it go up? No, it actually had to come down to find support. So it came down, and now look at it. Now it might be finding a level there. So if you just give it some time, it might be an opportunity. Gosh, there was even SoFi. Now I did try this one. I did take a shot on this one. We got stopped out. Okay, no big deal. But look what it did. It eventually consolidated, and now it's back up again. So most times there will be an area or an opportunity that you can grab something on like Beyond Meat. Let's see, even what was it? Shake Shack. So it shot up, it kept running for the day, but look, there's a pullback and then it ran. Okay, so if you can find that, and let me show you. I bet you that is on the 15-minute time frame. There you go. What did I say about Beyond Meat? I said, look at the 15-minute time frame. You can see here's where it failed the 15-minute time frame, but where did it start to go back up again? When it got over the 15-minute 50. Okay. So there are a couple little things that you can add to your toolbox and see if that works. Or even let's look at Shake Shack previously. I'm looking at here the last time. Where was it? I think I saw it there. How about that? Here's another example. So this one wasn't too bad. It did shoot up a little bit. And let's just say you missed this whole thing. Okay, look what happened eventually. It did also flag. Okay, so, yeah, maybe you would have missed a few percent right off the front, but if you give yourself some time, you can see that eventually it sets up again and continues to run. Heck, even Palantir. I'm thinking of all the tickers that have had earnings and are up. Okay, so what did it do? Okay, so it ran for a little bit, sure, but eventually, look at that, a flag. So if you're just kind of patient with that, you'll be able to find your way in. All right, guys. Yep, that's going to be the end of it for me. Be sure to come over to Profit Pilot over on X. I need to probably post more stuff over there, but that's where I'm at. I'll be sending some stuff up there. I think we got some things to chat about today. And otherwise, for those of you in Simpler and in Moxie, I will be on the mic tomorrow, and then we can dive into things and see how everything's going. But yeah, overall, the market's looking pretty good, guys, which is, again, amazing. But hey, I'm not going to argue with it too much. All right, guys. Thanks again, and we'll see.